What's up, everyone? Welcome to Level 7. It is time for another episode of the Agents of Fandom podcast. I'm your host, DJ Zwarich, joined, as always, by my good buddy, Adam Blevins, for a very special episode today. How you doing, Adam?
I'm doing great. It feels a little weird because it seems like it's been so long since we had an episode that we weren't so focused on whether it was X-Men or Invincible or the Bad Batch or something. It seems like we've been so focused on one and then sometimes two things for so long that it's nice to be in a little bit of break and step back and have a very, very special guest on this week's episode. I'm excited.
The stars really aligned for this one because we teased last week's episode. We were going to be chatting with our friend Paul from Heavy Spoilers, and then he had to reschedule. He had something going on. And as that happened, literally as he sent me a message to reschedule, I get a message on Instagram of one of the stars of HBO's The Sympathizer on Crave in Canada and Max in the States, Duy Nguyen. And he wanted to join us, and I am so excited. Zui, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm so hyped for this. I've been a fan of the channel for a while now. I've been watching you guys for a long time, so it's great that I get to be a part of this. So thank you for having me.
We're absolutely honored, and hearing you say that is truly the coolest thing. Anytime we get one of that, it's like, you're a fan of our stuff, we're a fan of you. It is just, it's exciting. It's hard to, have a regular conversation when it's all like, that's so
I know.
Cool. But we'll do our best. We will do our very best. Before we dive into things, if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You can also check out, while you're on the YouTube page, my interview with Zui and Fred Wen Khan, co-star. He plays Bon on the series The Sympathizer. And we had an awesome interview at the beginning of the show. We'll talk a little bit more about the show now. Of course, no spoilers for the finale yet, which premieres this week, Sunday, on Crave and Max, episode 7, the finale of The Sympathizer. Make sure you check that out. And follow us on socials at Agents Fandom, TikTok and Twitter, Agents of Fandom everywhere else. We're going to be diving into the shows we're excited about and the movies we're excited to watch this summer, because we get a little mini break. June and July are going to be pretty crazy. May, pretty crazy. We've been covering, Adam, you've been covering Dark Matter on Apple TV Plus. We've been talking about it a little bit off air. I've been covering The Sympathizer on HBO. And we've had all these other different shows like X-Men 97, The Bad Batch previously. We're covering week to week. We got a little break before a lot comes back our way in June. Before we go into the future stuff, we'll dive into our brand new segment, What You Watching, things we are just for our own time, our own enjoyment, what we're watching right now. Zui, I'll throw it to you first. Have you, with such a busy time with The Sympathizer airing, have you had any time to kick back, relax, and just enjoy some TV?
I did. I just finished the finale of X-Men 97 last night, and it was crazy. Immediately went on like Twitter, Reddit to be like, okay, what the hell is going on in this show? When is the season 2? Anyway, it's fantastic. And Shogun, I finished Shogun too. It took a while, but 2 fantastic shows.
Really, 2 shows I agree that have leveled up Disney Plus lately. X-Men 97 with animation, Shogun in live action. Adam, you got to write the reviews for Shogun, and I haven't gotten a chance to fully dive in yet, but it's first on my list for like when I'm not busy. I want to watch it start to finish. I want to put away my phone and not be like distracted by social media and work, so I can fully pay attention. 2 great shows. Zui, I want to dive in a little bit more to X-Men 97 just because we both we were just covering this. Did you watch the 90s series at all as a kid? And what did you think of the new one? Just as a whole, who were your favorite characters?
Oh my god, I did watch the original series when I was a kid, in Vietnam. I don't remember much. All I remember was Jean Grey being useless in this series. It sounds bad, but that's all I remember. But she is my favorite character of this new 97, because man, the last episode, the Phoenix, that was badass, and I'm just so surprised how they focus on the relationship between like Cable and Jean Grey and Scott, and it's so heart touching, so heartwarming. Yeah, Jean Grey favorite. I mean, Magneto, he's such a badass, MVP of the episode, the whole season, really. Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. I think it was like a near flawless season. I just want a little bit more Storm in season 2. Storm had so many cool lines, but she was barely there.
The episode where she got her power back was like, oh, that was badass. I can't wait to see where they go with this. And then where's the rest of it? Hopefully season 2.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully season 2. Couldn't agree more. Adam, how about you? If I'm not mistaken, you are near finished up with the recaps for Dark Matter. What else have you been able to get watching lately?
Yeah, well, I can't talk that much about Dark Matter because where I've been watching is not quite been released to the public yet, but there are, I believe, 4 episodes that are out now. That's a great show. It's based on the novel by Blake Crouch. Crazy sci-fi multiverse story, but not anything like you see in comic book stuff. It's a very different, very scary take on the multiverse, as in, like, if you end up in another world, it's pretty unlikely that you're going to be able to get back home, because if you think about the way that show approaches the multiverse, is that every single decision that we've ever made in our lives branches out into another reality. Like, if there was a reality where I was just too tired and I was like, you know what, TJ, I'm not going to be able to come on the podcast tonight, that splits off into another reality. And then every decision that those 2 versions of me split off. So if you had access to all of those different, quote, the path not taken, all these different things that, you could eliminate regret. It's just a very crazy, a much more ground, like, we see the multiverse used in things like Marvel and DC, and it's very like, oh, we can see all these other versions of these characters and then we can come right back home. But this is a much more scary, realistic. It's not a horror show, but it feels very visceral and very grounded and very like, oh my gosh, if I was in this makes the multiverse look terrifying. So that's, and I know you said to talk about things that we're not working on, and I am working on Dark Matter, so I'm breaking the rules a little bit there. But
I'm going to too. That's why I kind of initiated the conversation that way.
Well, and truthfully, it's a tough question because there's not a lot, like right now, especially, there's not a lot that I'm watching that I'm not working on. The only thing that I'll say, I recently finished yesterday for the first time. I finished the final season of Legend of Korra. I'd always been a huge fan of the original animated series, like Avatar: The Last Airbender. And I don't know why, I just never got around to watching The Legend of Korra. I think it was one of those things where I was just afraid that the sequel could not possibly live up to the greatness of the original. And while it's not as good, there's still a lot to love. I was really surprised because I really liked season 1, and then I loved seasons 2 and 3. And season 4 just really fell flat for me. I kept waiting to enjoy it. I didn't think Kuvira was a great villain. I kept waiting to like her more. She seemed much more like a season 1 to 2 villain. Like, I'm not the kind of person that say I could write a show better than anybody else. Absolutely not. But if I'm playing it out in my head, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about it. It's like, what's it? Zahir. I'm like, Zahir seems like the perfect villain to close out because he's threatening, like in real life. He's got connections to the spirit world, and so much of that show takes place in both the real world and the spirit world. He would have been the perfect villain to close out the series because he's dangerous on both sides. Whereas then before we get Unalaq and Vatu, where that's all just spirit world stuff. So I don't know, coming back to Kuvira, who's pretty much was just like, no, we're taking over the Earth Kingdom. That's the thing. Like, we want the Earth Kingdom. I was like, this is it. Like, nothing else, nothing crazier is coming. But I still love the characters. I really enjoyed watching the series overall, even though I don't think it's nearly as good as the original. But I still think the original is one of the best TV shows ever made, ever. Period. Like, in any, not just best animated, best whatever, best, like, one of the 10 to 15 best TV shows ever. I think it's that good. So that's really the only thing that I got to watch that I haven't been writing about or talking about in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, there's going to be so much stuff coming, between The Boys and House of the Dragon, especially, and then the Acolyte, all of this stuff that's coming. I just can't believe it. Really is crazy that going into this year, we were like, wow, there's not going to be a lot of content this year because, the strikes are affecting everything. And now we're getting ready to sit down with probably 3 of the most anticipated TV shows of the year, getting ready to air in a span of 2 weeks. So it's nuts, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, we got a lot coming, and one of the ones that just released recently that I binged pretty quick with my wife Ava was the new half season of Bridgerton. which led to us then rewatching Queen Charlotte, and then now are almost done rewatching the first season of Bridgerton again. But on my own, I just finished up screeners and my reviews that'll drop as soon as the episode does this Saturday of My Adventures with Superman, which returns to Prime Video, the Adult Swim animated show, which I absolutely adore. I adored season 1, season 2. A lot of fun so far.
I think it's Max here in the States, though, just to correct you.
Is it in Max on the States? There you go. Max on the States.
Yeah, Max in the States. Yeah.
Prime Video in Canada. Just a truly delightful adaptation of Superman. So I'm excited for that one to be back. And the other show that I've been covering that is coming to a close, I'm writing my review tomorrow or tonight, we'll see. And I haven't seen the final episode yet, but I have seen the final episode yet, but I can't talk about it. And it comes out on Sunday. That's The Sympathizer, where our friend Duy here, of course, stars as Mon in the show. How has life changed since it came out? Like,
oh my God.
When we talked for you, this was really one of the first kind of big TV things that was out there, and now it's out there. How has the reception been for you?
It's such a weird feeling to have my face out there, and then to have like my friend messaging me every week with screenshot of my face on their TV.
With the mustache.
With the mustache, exactly. I'm still trying to get used to it, but it's coming to an end now. And it's the last few weeks has been crazy, has been insane. My phone has been ringing. My agent's phone has been ringing. So that's exciting. But yeah, I refrained from going on the internet the last couple of weeks. I don't know if I can deal with like part of me is curious to see like how are people liking the show, are people even watching the show, but part of me is like, oh, for my mental health I need to take a step back and just let it do its thing. My job is done. So yeah, hopefully people are watching and liking it.
I can truly say I've been really, really enjoying it. As soon as it took me probably until episode 2 to really be like fully invested. Through episode 1, I was kind of like, this is really cool. I like the characters. I don't fully know where the story is going yet. And then by episode 2, I was like, okay, this is fantastic. I am hooked. I'm ready to keep going. And it just kept getting better. Each episode throughout the season keeps getting better and better and better. You've gotten to post a little bit of like behind the scenes things on Instagram, stuff like that. And 3 characters, the 3 musketeers, the blood brothers in the show. It's the captain, Mon, and Bone. In real life, that is you, Fred Wen Khan, and Hua as well.
Yeah.
How much have you 3 been able to hang out since the show has concluded?
Oh my God.
What's the relationship like between the 3 of you? Are you as close in real life as the show?
Yeah, we hate each other. No, that's kind of our relationship. We're like, when we with your close friend, the way we talk is we just roast each other all the time. We just never give each other compliments. But yeah, we're really, really close. I just messaged them like a few like minutes ago. I'll be like, hey, I'm going on, Agent of Fandom. I'm gonna talk shit about you guys. Sorry, excuse me.
You're allowed to swear on this. That's totally allowed.
Yeah, so we're extremely close. We've been hanging out, if not in person, virtually. We text every day. We're gonna see each other like next week for the premiere of House of Dragon in New York City, which is very exciting. And the show is getting nominated for like breakout limited series at the Gotham TV Awards in New York. So we're gonna see each other there. Exciting, yeah. And yeah, we're just 3 goofballs still.
I kind of picture it almost like the flashback scenes in The Sympathizer, where you're all kids just making fun of each other. That's almost how I kind of view it now.
Totally.
Well, feel free to convey the message that invite is always open to Fred to join the podcast as well. Haven't got a chance to talk to Hawaii yet, but if he wants to do an interview, we would of course love to have him as well.
I'll spread the words. I know
And,
they've been busy, so
I'll even talk shit on your behalf. Like if we can make it happen, I'll be like, "He's my guy.
Amazing.
We made this happen first. He is my
Amazing.
favorite of the Blood Brothers." One of the articles I got to write after our interview was I can't remember if actually I wrote it or if somebody else did on behalf for our site, but was that who you could potentially play in the MCU if you got a chance, and that you picked Amadeus Cho then. But one of the things, of course, about the Sympathizer is MCU legend, the guy,
Right.
Robert Downey Jr.
Mhm.
Plays. It was advertised as 5, and I think by the end, like maybe 6, 7 different roles in this show, depending on who the captain's character sees him as. Adam, I want to throw it to you because 2 co-stars in this show, Sandra Oh and Robert Downey Jr., we are huge fans of. And you, I know, maybe RDJ a little bit more than me even.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, to me, the connection that I have with him and the way I resonated with the way he played Iron Man because he started playing Iron Man in 2008 when I was 11 years old. And he played it until I graduated, like the year after I graduated college, which I think his last appearance was Endgame in 2019. So, formative years right there. And to get a little personal, it's like my dad wasn't around when I was growing up. So as silly as it sounds to a lot of people, like I looked up to Robert Downey Jr. as like a father figure because the way he played that character was so great. And it was like an escape for me too, growing up, having that. I mean, the MCU in general, but especially like Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man was one of those things where if I was having a bad day, because, back then we didn't have Disney Plus and all that stuff, but I would go to the store and I didn't follow any of this. So I had no idea when these things were coming out on like physical media releases, but like every time I'd go to Target, like once a week, I'd run to the back and be like, is the latest Marvel movie here yet? No. Okay. I'll be back and check next week. So I had everything in my collation. So to me, I know TJ got to talk to you about this a little bit when he interviewed you a while back, but now just no time limit, open platform. I'd love to hear, and this applies to both of them with Robert Downey Jr. and Sandra Oh as well, but I'd love to hear what it was like the first time that you maybe you got to set and you saw him, the first time you got to talk to him, and then just being around him, because I'm trying to remember exactly who it was that I was listening to. I can't remember off the top of my head now. That was talking about the first time they walked on set with him, that it was like this magnetic presence like you've just never felt before, like even before you started filming. So I'd love to hear you talk about that, if that's an experience that you had and just what it was like to be around him, because I'm very jealous that you got to spend time with him.
Very fortunate. I'm very fortunate. Like you said, I grew up watching Iron Man. Like it's insane that I got to not only be in the same show, but like my face on the poster right behind him. It's like that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, even though I don't have a lot of scenes, I don't have 0 scenes with him actually, but I was on set with him. I got to watch him work. The first time we interacted, my first day on set, he was shooting the scene right after my scenes, and I saw him in the professor makeup. If you've seen the show, he's like this very flamboyant.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that was one of his character. I just thought it's like, oh, Robert Downey Jr. looks different today. And he was in character, like off screen also,
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because he's plays so many different characters. It's hard to keep track and just go, to turn it on and off. It's hard. So yeah, he just came to me and it's like very flamboyantly. It's like, hi, I'm Robert. Nice to meet you. And then he just walks off. I'm like, wow, is this Robert? Is this a real Robert? Because damn, Iron Man is very different.
That's so funny. I was just thinking about the Tom Holland, that famous Tom Holland meme where he's like, "Oh my God, that's Robert Downey Jr."
That was my reaction right afterwards. I was like, I just turned to the people on around me. I was like, "Oh my God, I just shake hands with Robert Downey Jr." But he is so fun on set. He's so fun on set. The material, it gets dark sometimes. It gets really, dark, but he keeps it fun. He remembers everybody's name. He shakes hands with everybody on set. It's just an incredible energy when you're around him, and you just feel comfortable. He just makes you feel comfortable acting with him. You know, I see Hua in him, just like making jokes between takes, and it's awesome. And then I got to talk with him a bit during the press tour at the Emmys for Your Consideration event, and I get to like it was hard talking to him as such a big fan. You know, I was just like have like my whole mental how I'm having my whole energy just to focus on not freaking out that I'm talking to Iron Man himself. But he's so chill. He's so chill. And then Sandra Oh, Sandra Oh is an angel. She's all about uplifting other people around her. She knew the show is not about her, so her whole mission working on the show is to help us tell a story and to use her you know, spotlight to shine it on us, and it's amazing.
Have you gotten a chance to watch Invincible, and what do you think of the series?
Oh my god, I love Invincible. I binged it. I actually, after the press tour, I'm like, okay, Invincible is out fully. I binged it. I loved it. I told Sandra all about it.
What did she say when you told her you loved Invincible?
No, she's just very humble. She's so humble. She's just like, oh my god, I'm glad you liked it. It was just like, oh my god, what do you mean? You glad I like it? Of course I'm gonna like it. It's you. Yeah.
If you obviously we won't go into spoilers, but the season finale, probably series finale, with it being a limited series of The Sympathizer, comes out this Sunday on Max and Crave. Give me a little tease of the episode. No spoilers, but give me like, why should people be tuning in?
Why? Because this is gonna be one of the most craziest thing you've seen in the last, you know, I don't know, few months, years. I don't know. I'm biased because I'm Vietnamese. I've never seen Vietnamese actor on such a big stage, and with the finale like this, I've never seen Vietnamese actor in these kind of settings. And there's twists, there's turns, there's going to be a lot of tears, and yeah, it's going to be a crazy hour of prestige television. I don't know, I don't want to spoil
that was perfect.
Anything.
That was beautiful. That was really, really good, and I couldn't agree more. Check out The Sympathizer, because this show is really, really good, and it's coming to an end. If you haven't started it yet, no stress. It's just 7 episodes. It's a wonderful binge. And so whether you're been watching it week to week, or you've been waiting to start it for a binge, check it out, because it's really wonderful.
And I must say, and director Park Chan-wook gonna hate me for saying this, because director Park he hates binge watching. He loves the way he designed his TV show is for people to keep guessing every single week, to be confused and to be asking questions. Okay, what the hell is going on? And then to be waiting for next week to get the answer. But I actually binged the show when I first got the screeners of it, and I thought, you know, the show works better as a binger. So, so it's gonna be a great binge if you're waiting for it.
It is. I would say, like, I agree that it's made incredibly well for the week to week, for the discussion of what is going on, because it takes a minute to process everything that happened. One, because it's emotional. Two, because, you know, a little bit of an unreliable narrator with the main character narrating his own story. There's bias within that. And so understanding what's going on, it takes a minute to process. And then you want to theorize after you've processed. Right. Then you want to start thinking, well, what does this mean? What did that mean? Because there are so many red herrings and just like little pieces sprinkled throughout the show that are big foreshadowing moments that you don't know are big foreshadowing moments when you watch initially. So I think it works week to week or as a binge, but regardless, check out the Sympathizer finale this Sunday on Max in the States, on Crave in Canada. And as soon as it ends, we got lots of more great television coming this summer. The Sympathizer closes out a wonderful spring of television, and we got a great summer of television coming as well. It aired as HBO's big Sunday night show. The next HBO big Sunday night show, House of the Dragon, the Game of Thrones spinoff coming. We got The Bear coming to FX's show, coming to Hulu and Disney Plus internationally at the end of June. We got the Rings of Power, Prime Video's big jewel, the Lord of the Rings series coming. The Acolyte coming to Disney Plus, the newest Star Wars show, the first Star Wars live action show, canon set in the High Republic, over 100 years before what we see in the Phantom Menace. And of course, speaking of Prime Video from before, we have The Boys, a superhero show not like any other. It is bloody, it is graphic, it is wonderful. And so, Duy, I'll start with you. Of these and or other ones, like, give me a top 5, if you will, or 3, whatever is in your head, of like, what are the shows you're most excited to watch this summer?
God, I mean, all of the things you just listed, really. It's crazy how many stuff are coming out. Like, I would love to, get another gig soon and then be busy in the summer, but I also won't complain if I, don't have any gig lining up, and so I can watch all of that. Yeah. So House of Dragon, super, super stoked for that. So excited to get invited to the premiere next week in New York City. And then The Boys, I've been itching to get back to that. Gen V was amazing. And yeah, Acolyte. It's and then what else? Oh my God. You just listed a bunch and I forgot. But that's my top 3, I think.
That's a strong top 3, and I think that for me, I think like The Acolyte and The Boys, that's where it lines up for me too, just because the genre. I love the genre so much. We got Star Wars, sci-fi, fantasy, and then we have superhero stuff with The Boys, and a very different kind. And so I'm excited to pick up that story again. I did see a funny tweet that was basically like, prediction for The Boys season 4. Homelander does some bad stuff. They get really close to catching him, but they don't. And that's which fair. That has been basically every season, but they've done it in an incredible way. And then the next one for me would be The Bear. I was late to it. I did not see much of The Bear as it was coming out. I binged all of it this winter, and I loved it. I'm going to be, we haven't fully planned out the coverage yet. I know our guy Carlos, living in Chicago, is a massive fan of The Bear, so he's wanting to do some stuff. I'm going to do some recaps too. But that one is probably going to be number 3 on my list. Adam, I know you have coverage coming for us at Agents of Fandom for House of the Dragon, for The Boys. What of this group? Give me your ranking. 1 to 5. Give me your ranking.
Oh man, that's tough. Well, it's not really tough 1 to 5 to rank, because like House of the Dragon for me is 1, because I'm a Thrones person. So it's like but even then, this is one of those cases where when you rank your top 5 favorite things or something, and then you put 5 at something. Like if I'm looking at this list now, just by the nature, I haven't seen The Bear, not because I don't want to. It's one of those things that now that every streaming service is so expensive, I cut down on them a while back, and Hulu was one of the one that I cut down on because it was the one I found myself watching the least. And I don't have we haven't gotten wherever I'm at in North Carolina. We haven't gotten this bundle and all this stuff to where I can just add it and get The Bear on Disney Plus. And I'm bummed out because I really want to watch it, because everybody that I know that has watched it and has talked about it says it's awesome. So I'm super bummed that I haven't been able to watch it. So by nature, that would be 5. But then even like looking at the list, I guess the Rings of Power would probably be 4, but even that, there was a lot of unfair negative conversation about that show during the first season. It got review bombed by a bunch of racist assholes and stuff like that. But that was an awesome season of television. And I know it wasn't classic Lord of the Rings like cinema like so many people were expecting. It wasn't the Peter Jackson movies, which I think that's what people wanted. They just wanted more Peter Jackson. And that's not what it was, but that's okay. This is such a big universe that we're going to get different stories in different scales. And one is just this is like the most expensive TV show ever made. I think the first season cost like $500 million or something. Anyway, I've gone for like 3 minutes on the two shows, one that I haven't even seen, and then the one that's number 4 on my list. So yeah, it's House of the Dragon is one, and I'm super excited. I cannot wait in a couple of weeks to get to talk to Lord Corlys and Jacaerys for 10 minutes. That's going to be, I'm so nervous about that because I love Thrones so much, and I'm going to get 10 minutes and I've got about 15 questions. So I don't know if I'm going to have to find the time stone somewhere between now and then, do something that I can figure out to slow down time, to stop it so I can talk to them for as long as I want. Cause I have so many questions I want to ask. I'm working through, rewatching the first season to kind of prep for it, to catch up. Cause there's so many time jumps in the first season. So it was a little hard to follow. And even now I'm like, I forgot how every 2 or 3 episodes were like, hey, 5 more years. Hey, here's 4 years. Hey, here's 6 years. And then by the time we get to the end of the season, it's like these characters are 15, 20, 25 years older than they were. It's nuts. But so that would be one. And then I'd have to put The Boys at 2, but it's just because for all the reasons you said too. I love the mature, the violent take, also like the realistic, like the very capitalistic, like superheroes would absolutely be viewed as commodities and properties. Like if they were real, they would absolutely get sponsorships. Corporate companies would be fighting over them trying to pay them to get. That's absolutely how things would go. And I never thought about that until the show came out, and it makes so much sense. So I love that part of it, and I also love that show. And shout out to Seth Rogen and Eric Kripke and everybody that's over there working on that is just completely unafraid to make fun of a very obvious group of people. And the funny part is that group of people don't even realize that they're the ones they still think that they're making fun of other people. It's like, you are literally the butt of the joke. I promise you are the butt of the joke. And they do it in such an obvious way, but it's also so funny. I love that part of the show. And the Acolyte, it's one of those things where 1, 2, and 3, especially, like I hate even putting the Acolyte at 3 because I'm so ready to get out of this. And Kleinfeld, friend of the show over from the direct.com. I love what he said. And it has stuck with me so much what he said, that Star Wars has got to stop making this grand universe feel so small. Stop going to the same few planets. Stop focusing on the same few characters. This is huge universe. And we're going to get to see for the first time in live action 100 years outside these confines that we've been living in for so long. I'm so excited. All the trailers, the teasers and everything, like the trailers maybe didn't suck me in as much as I wanted to, but these recent teasers and like the behind the scenes stuff we've been getting over the last week or so, I love all that. I love hearing everybody, like the cast members talking about their characters and everything they put into them. And like all these random things that they're like, the audience may not even know, but in my head, because Lee Jung-jae, especially, who is the star of Squid Game, I am so amped. Like every time he talks about, he can't even get it because he's just like, I just can't believe I'm in Star Wars. I'm so excited to be in Star Wars. And it's like, that's how I would be if I was in Star Wars too. I love hearing people be excited about that. And Carrie-Anne Moss is the same way. Amanda Stenberg, like that's the whole cast looks great. Everything about that looks great. And even putting it at 3 feels ridiculous. But the fact that we're getting all 3 of those shows premiering within 12 days of each other, like that could, if you had told me at the beginning of this year that was going to be the only 3 TV shows we got this year, I'd be like, that's fine. That'll get me through the whole year. That's all I need. And we're getting them in a span of 12 days. They're going to be going on at the same time. It reminds me of 2022. I think it was late 2022 when we had She-Hulk, Andor, Rings of Power, and House of the Dragon, like all going on at the same time. And it was impossible to, it feels like we're getting ready to enter into that, but like 2.0. And then as soon as those end, we've got the Rings of Power because that's in August. But man, I'm just blown away because I'm a TV person. Like obviously I love movies. I love cinema, but I love so much that week to week because that's my shit too. Breaking down. So I hate binge releasing. I hate the way Netflix does all their stuff. So I'm so excited to sit down every week, watch all this stuff. I just absolutely can't wait to get into all of them. I'm so excited.
I couldn't agree more. I think that's exactly why The Acolyte is one for me. Was as much as like, don't get me wrong, I absolutely adored Ahsoka. That's where's live action show. Sorry, I'm getting a phone call here and it's going in my AirPods, even though I don't want it to. But I absolutely love Ahsoka, but with her being my favorite character is with me having rewatched Rebels 12 times and Clone Wars 6. I love to theorize. There's so much theorizing I can do within that character, and I don't know anything about the High Republic. I'm not read on the literature. I haven't seen read the comics, the novels, the audiobooks, anything, and so I can't wait to theorize and be wrong and get a couple right and just learn these new characters in this new time. Couldn't agree more. Super excited for the boys. Just the story and the cast is great. And then speaking of Jack Quaid in that show, he is of course the voice of My Adventures of Superman in My Adventures of Superman, which is such a slept on and underrated show. So I definitely want to make sure people check that one out too. Julie, I want to throw it back to you. Let's talk about some movies. For me, there's one movie above all this summer, Deadpool and Wolverine. Is like, it's so hard to even be remotely close to excited for any other movies. That's one, but I just love going to the theater. So I know I'm going to be getting amped for a few others this summer as well.
Right. I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine, such a dream. I've been craving that since like the beginning of time, and now it's almost here. I'm so damn hype about it. All my friends hated me because every time we talk, I just mention that. Are you gonna come with me to see this movie? So what else coming out this summer? Actually,
we got Furiosa coming out right away. We got some action thrillers. We got Hitman. We got Twisters. It's Glenn Powell's summer. And then
you left out one of my favorites too, Bad Boys Ride or Die. We got the
Bad
fourth
Boys
Bad
Ride or
Boys
Die.
coming in just a couple weeks. Can't wait.
Inside Out 2, animated, big, highly anticipated animated.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. Inside Out 2. I absolutely loved Inside Out. So we'll see about that one. But I'm going to see Furiosa next week on 4DX. The moving chair and stuff. So very, very excited for that. And but Deadpool and Wolverine, that's like top one.
Who would be your first up? Furiosa and 4DX. If you're going to any movie in 4DX, like that's going to be a crazy one to do it with. That's going to be not the type of one I think you'd want to have like a drink or two.
But no.
That might be that's like you're going to be moving too much in that movie.
It's going to be a milkshake in there.
Yeah, who would be? We're hoping, we kind of know that this Deadpool movie is going to be a cruise through the MCU. It's going to bring in some Fox characters. Who would be your dream cameos that happen?
Oh my god, that's tough. Oof. Oh my god. Okay,
I'll give you mine while you think to give
first.
you some time. I've said it on the podcast a few times, but I don't care because it's it's such a fun idea. In the comics, Deadpool is obsessed with Captain America. He loves him. He idolizes Steve Rogers. He thinks he's so cool. I'd love to see him just like watching the footage of the MCU being like, oh, Captain America, it's Chris Evans. I love Chris Evans. And then at the end of the movie, he sees Chris Evans. He meets them and he's like, oh my God, Cap, it's you. I'm such a big fan. And he's like, what the hell are you talking about? And he flames on, and it's Chris Evans as the Human Torch, Johnny Storm from the OG Fantastic Four movies.
Wow. You thought it all out. Oh my god.
I have. I would love. I could never. I say this. I could never be a head writer. Like I don't have it in me to create the entirety of a story. But I'd love to be in a writer's room, just like throwing stupid ideas like that on the wall.
I love that. Oh my god. I would love to see Magneto in some capacity or mention of him, something like that in the MCU. I don't know. I just such a big fan of him. See, I don't have a scenario on how his might show up, but yeah.
Who would you prefer to see, Fassbender or McKellen?
Oof, that's hard. I'm a sucker for the OG, McKellen, Sir Ian McKellen. If this is a dream.
I like it. For me, Deadpool and Wolverine is just like one by far. I've loved so many of the movies that have come out recently, like Challengers and Fall Guy. I absolutely adored. Right. I haven't actually seen Mad Max Fury Road, so I want to rewatch that before I go see Furiosa. Right. And that's kind of it for me in terms of the priority ones. But I am curious about Inside Out too. We're gonna have some fun coverage coming for that. Pardon me, to agentsofandom.com. Aisha and Sydney will be going to a Canadian press screening in Toronto, and then still working on it, but we're hopefully going to be having some interviews coming up for Inside Out 2 as well. Adam, what about you? Obviously, I know Deadpool and Wolverine is one, but what are your other priorities this summer in theaters?
Oh, well, I know you asked me what my other priorities are, but I'm still going to talk about Deadpool and Wolverine for 30 minutes. No, but I really don't think I've been this excited about a Marvel movie since Endgame. Like
right.
And I've enjoyed a lot. I'm not one of those like, oh, Marvel's been dead since Endgame. I'm not one of those people, but like I went back through the list. I was really looking forward to Guardians. I was looking forward to Wakanda Forever. I was really excited about Quantumania. That was probably the one that if you compare like my excitement beforehand to how I felt about the product, there's probably the biggest disparity just because I didn't really end up loving the movie. But this, I don't remember being so, because like Deadpool is my guy. And so it's like you said, this is like a dream. This is what everybody has wanted for so long, is a Deadpool and Wolverine. That's like the team up. If you ask Marvel fans for the last like 20 years if they could get one team up, like what could it be? That would probably be one of your more popular. Like a lot of people would get, you get a lot of crazy answers like Deadpool and Spider-Man and things like that. But a Deadpool, especially like with the live action characters that we've gotten, like, and if you ask people characters that would make sense, I feel like Deadpool and Wolverine would be a pretty top tier. And one, because the two of them have been playing this off in real life, like Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman for so long, have been teasing each other about this and talking about doing it. And I still remember seeing that notification when it came through that is like, Hugh, you want to play Wolverine one more time? And it's like, oh yeah, sure, Ryan, as he's like walking up the steps. I remember just like running around my apartment just in circles. Like, is this actually happening? Holy shit, it's actually real. They're doing it. And then it's like you said, it's finally here. I just remarked about that the other day. I was watching it was one of the little clips or something that Ryan Reynolds did. I can't remember this because they're going crazy with the promotion like we all knew they would. And I just like watching it on repeat, and I'm like, we made it. We're getting the two. Like, it's time. The promotion is here. The movie's going to be here in a couple months. I've got my ticket. I can't wait. Oh, so yeah, nothing as if that, if that didn't sell it enough, nothing comes close. It's Deadpool and Wolverine at number one. But looking at the list too, I'm super excited for Furiosa. I saw the original Mad Max Fury Road back when it came out, but I definitely need a rewatch because it's been a while and I've obviously seen so much stuff between now and then. Bad Boys Ride or Die is up there. That's getting great review. Like, they've had a few early screenings and stuff that people have been allowed to talk about it. Everybody's saying how much they love it. And the Bad Boys for me is kind of like a perfect. I mean, it's not like, I know they're buddy cop action movies. They've got some flaws and stuff, but those are still great movies. I love Will Smith. I love Martin Lawrence. They're hilarious. I like that all those movies are rated R, and I like that because it's not the kind of thing where like once they started, they got popular in these recent ones, and they're just like, you know what? Let's crank it down and get more people. Like, no, they're vulgar, they're violent. Like, I love that they're not afraid to get away from that. So I can't wait to see the two of them. Hitman, I'm excited for that. I hope that that's one of those things because that's going to be on Netflix. I love Glenn Powell, huge Glenn Powell fan. I'll watch him do anything, and I hope that's one of those things where because they mentioned that it was going to be on, it was going to be in like a few theaters before it goes to Netflix. I hope one of those theaters is near me because I got lucky with Glass Onion. When Glass Onion came out a couple years ago, they did the same thing. It was like, it'll be in a few theaters and then we're putting it on the platform. But I got to see it a couple days before Thanksgiving. And Glenn Powell is like a certified A-list movie star now. If you put that movie in theaters, it will make a lot of money. We saw that with Anyone But You. So I feel like they're going to be missing out on an opportunity if they don't at least put this in every theater for like a week or two before it gets on the platform. But there's one thing we know about Netflix. It's that they're fine with leaving a bunch of money on the table to put something on their platform. We know that. But yeah, and then, I mean, Twisters too. I'm, just keep riding the Glenn Powell train. But I mean, yeah, I hate that I haven't gotten around to seeing The Fall Guy. And it's so funny because I had tickets to an early screening like the week before, or like the week it came out, I think on either Tuesday or Wednesday. And I got strep throat and I got really, really sick. So I couldn't go see it. And then by the time I got better, it was like early in the next week, and I had so much stuff going on. And it's crazy because I was so excited about that movie for months. And then it dawned on me that I still haven't gone to see it yet, and I want to go while it's in theaters because it's already available on digital. That's a whole other problem that we could get into. That the movie hasn't even been out for 3 weeks and it's already on. Like, you can already watch it at home. Like, oh, I hate that so much. I get it, but I hate that so much because I want people going to the movie theater. But I'm just I'm mad that I didn't get to go see that. I did get to go see, got to see The Phantom Menace when that came back to theaters. I forgot how rough of a movie that was, especially for the first hour 30, hour 45. I was like, because I hadn't seen it in a long time. That's not one of the Star Wars movies that I'm in the habit of rewatching. But I'm like, hey, it's a prequel on the big screen. Like, I'll be seated. I will be there no matter what. If you're gonna put Star Wars on the big screen. And then I was like, how much longer? I kept checking my watch. Like, how much longer does this have until we get to Duel of the Fates? Are we close? Yeah, because it feels like it ended up being the thing where that's what I was waiting for the whole time was Duel of the Fates. But no, man, between movies, TV, everything, it really is funny. I know I said it earlier in the show to look back and think we were talking about this being a slow year just because there's so much going on. And comparatively, it kind of is a slow year compared to like what we got last year and what we're going to be getting next year. It's like it's still a lot of stuff, but to think about what's coming is even crazier. So yeah, I'm just excited to have this place to talk about all of this and to be able to talk about it with people on social media. It's just I feel very blessed because for so long in my life I enjoyed these things kind of in silence because my friends growing up and everything weren't movie fans. So even though I could get them to occasionally like go see a movie with me, the only conversation I could get out of them, like when we would walk out of the theater, I'd be like, "So what'd you think?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, it was cool." I'm like, "No, what did you like? I want to talk about it for the next 2 hours. Like, what do you mean it was cool?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's fine. It's fine." I'm like, "Ooh," and now I have people. I get to do this for my job, which I feel very lucky, very fortunate, very blessed to get to do, to talk about this stuff and now be surrounded by so many awesome, incredible people who also love talking about this just as much, if not more than me. I just feel very lucky, very happy, and very blessed. And I can't wait to get into all this exciting stuff that's coming.
I really find for the first half of 2024 so far, there hasn't even been that much content, but there's been a lot of really good content. Everything, like so much of what has dropped this year has just been such high quality that it becomes can't miss television, can't miss movies. And it makes all of a sudden that schedule starts lining up when everything is just so good and you can't help but want to watch it. We're going to have lots of coverage for the upcoming content. We'll be breaking down each episode of the Acolytes here on the podcast. Those recaps and reviews will be coming on the website from our director of content and editorial, former co-host Garrett Blaney. Adam will be handling House of the Dragon, and as well as The Boys. I'll be handling The Bear and My Adventures with Superman. Lots of really exciting stuff coming with potential Inside Out interviews. We have an interview that just drops now. It's already on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts with legendary musical composer John Paisano with Adam and Ryan, who composed the score for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, the Netflix Daredevil show, the Insomniac Spider-Man games, the Maze Runner trilogy, and so much more. They had a really awesome conversation. Adam's going to have some awesome House of the Dragon interviews coming forward. Lots of great stuff. So stay tuned to agentsfandom.com. Follow us on socials at Agents Fandom on TikTok and Twitter, Agents of Fandom everywhere else. And make sure if you're watching us on YouTube, you hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Make sure you follow the Agents Fandom everywhere you get your podcasts. Zui, before we get out of here, so people can get in on the ground floor before you're cast as Amadeus Cho or Mark Grayson's Invincible or heck, Nightwing. They're doing the whole DCU right now. The age range is right there for Nightwing and some Dick Grayson accent. If either Mark Grayson or Dick Grayson, give me a Grayson. I don't care which one. So where can they find you on socials? And you
can find me on Instagram at that Duy Nguyen there's no dot. That's just at that Duy Nguyen. Sorry. It's ThatDuyNguyen. And I'll be posting behind the scenes from the Sympathizer or any other upcoming projects if I have, hopefully.
Well,
you better have upcoming projects. I'll say that much.
We there we got it scrolling at the bottom, so make sure you follow that Duy Nguyen on Instagram. Check out the finale of The Sympathizer on Crave and HBO. And my friend, you have free, if whether it's a show that you saw and you like and you want to talk about it, you fire us a message, or if it's an upcoming show that you were on and you want to promote, you fire us a message as well, and we'll get you back here, make it happen. Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been so much fun.
Oh my god, thank you so much for having me. It's such a dream, by the way. And I'm gonna be watching you guys. So
perfect. I will keep that in mind. We'll be at our best, and we will be watching you too. You can watch Duy, like I said, on HBO and Crave. In Crave and Max for the finale of The Sympathizer coming out this Sunday. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. We will be back next week. I got to check my schedule, but next week may even be Acolyte primer time already. So thank you so much for joining us on behalf of myself, Adam, Duy, and all the agents behind the scenes. See you next week, everyone. Peace.
Bye.
Peace.